Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, starting a little bit early today, and we have a big, shocking news out of Japan. The Bank of America, no, not Bank of America, Bank of Japan decides to raise their 10-year yield percentage, which means they also effectively raised their interest. So this is a surprise, and many people don't know what this means. Some people think this is going to be very, very, very bad. But some people think it's going to be good, especially for crypto. So let's talk about this and talk about what else is going on in the world today. So, welcome, guys. Like I said, starting a bit early. It's okay. Right now, U.S. market, at least the futures market, is slightly red. We have seen so much red, so much red last week, the week before. This week also started out red. Let's see if things can turn around, although this news from Japan is not making it easy. So, what everyone is talking about this morning is this. Bank of America shocks. I keep saying Bank of America. I'm sorry. Bank of Japan shocks global markets bond yield shift. Okay, so the Bank of Japan has been basically the only central bank out there that has not raised its interest rates at all, or their effective borrow rate, right? Their bank rate, their equivalency of the fund rate. They have not moved up at all, which is why the Japanese yen has been free falling, basically, because they want to have this they want to have this like permanent quantitative easing, which they set out like 6 years ago. I don't know when exactly they decided to do that, but it was approximately 5-6 years ago. They decided, hey, we're just going to have easing and easing and easing. So that's why even though the last 2 years with inflation going sky high, Bank of Japan still said, nah, it's okay. We'll leave rates basically at zero. You could borrow basically as much as you want at 0%, right? And you could buy our bonds at basically 0%. Everything was near 0%. And, you know, a lot of people knew this was unsustainable, especially now, right? Especially when their currency is devaluing so greatly versus other currencies like the USD. You know, the DXY, the second biggest comparison is to the Japanese yen. But anyways, the Bank of Japan decided, okay, enough is enough. So they effectively moved their rate about 25 basis points higher. Okay, not a big jump. But it's surprising because everyone thought they were going to stick with their plan and leave it at zero basically for an indefinite amount of time, right? But they decided, no, that's going to end. So they decided to move the rates up to about 50 basis points overall. This affects their bond yields and also their borrowing rate and everything else that I've been talking about in the U.S., what Powell has been doing, right, with the rate hikes, right? That's what seems like is about to happen, or started, I should say, started with Bank of Japan. So now why a lot of people are fearful about this is we know what rate hikes have done in the U.S. We know what rate hikes have done pretty much around the world, right? The purpose of it is to slow down the economy, to slow down the buying, right? To make it so that companies borrow less. And the plan is to decrease inflation due to lowering demand, right? Now, people are concerned that if Japan, well, Bank of Japan does this, it's going to stifle or is going to stop the growth of Japanese companies, which up until this point was still borrowing money left and right, basically for free at 0%, right? That is going to stop now. it's going to be harder for them to borrow because they have to pay interest or higher interest, right? So it's a trickle effect. Even though they're still at like 50 basis points, which is 0.5%, we're really off where we are versus in the U.S. we're like 4.25%. So it's a big difference, right? But people are thinking that they will continue to raise rates. So businesses are going to still tighten up, and that means the economy of Japan may start going down, which it wasn't that great to begin with, but it may get worse. This is why there's a lot of people that's very fearful about this, and I guess we'll have to keep our attention on this situation and see what happens. Okay, so there are a lot of people that's actually freaking out over this. Even though most of us in the U.S. and Europe, we may not be paying attention, but a lot of people are really fearing what this may do to not only Japan, but also other Asian countries that like to buy bonds from Japan, right? It may be upset by this move. We will see. We will see. However, this has helped Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin came up a little bit, right? Starting from last night to today. Not the biggest jump, but Bitcoin is at 16.8, about 2%. So what this means is people are putting money into Bitcoin. So maybe a lot of people in Japan not liking what they're seeing, they decide to buy some Bitcoin, right? Maybe. For DXY went down slightly. The Japanese yen got a little bit stronger versus the dollar, right? But it didn't really move in a significant way. We still need to see DXY go down a lot more. The Japanese yen needs to go up a lot more to have an effect here. But global markets, somewhat shaky about this news. But Bitcoin jumps, so we'll take that. We'll take that. Now, Bitcoin jumping may have nothing to do with what's going on with Bank of Japan, but maybe there is. But there's still a lot of stuff going on with Bitcoin. A lot of people don't pay attention to dApps on top of Bitcoin. So I came across a couple interesting things. For example, the Lightning Network now has opened up these new addresses that are more human readable. So it's not like a long digit you have to remember. And the purpose of this is to crowdfund so that people can send you donations or funding for something that you may be working on, right? And it's just much easier to do. And this is across the Lightning Network, so it's instant and basically feeless, right? So there's a lot of innovations going on. And someone posted this in terms of what's happening on the Lightning Network. All the wallets that are supporting Lightning Network already, some of the on-ramp, off-ramps, and there's others that's in here. I mean, there's so many that I've never even heard of before, but it does show that Lightning Network, the ecosystem, the dApps are growing by a lot, quite a lot, in fact. So something that I normally don't show, in case you don't know what the Lightning Network is, the layer 2 on top of Bitcoin that can enable basically feeless and instantaneous transactions, and there's other stuff that's on top of it too. Like, for example, there's a couple of gaming projects on top of the Lightning Network, right? Interesting stuff. What else is going on? Well, here's an interesting metric for Bitcoin. The 2-year moving price, and then 2-year moving price times 5. And basically, if you look at it, it creates a nice channel. And whenever Bitcoin is below the 2-year moving average, well, that usually indicates a reversal. And whenever it's above the 2-year moving average times 5, it's a reversal indicator too, to the downside, right? And again, where we are is very similar to the bottom of 2018, to the bottom of 2015, and even to the bottom of 2011, right? Another one of those pesky charts that is showing, it's a great time to be DCing right now. Great time to be DCing. And then there's other things like this showing the balance of Bitcoin on exchanges continues to tank like a rock. It's all good stuff right now. And this is measuring the relative unrealized loss, 7D DMA, 7-day moving average. And again, like previous bottoms like 2015, 2018, right? It's very, very high. And again, when you have very high amount of unrealized loss, that usually means it's a great time to be DCing. It's never a bad time to be DCing, really. Not at these levels, but there you go. So maybe Bitcoin is moving up because of all these reasons, or because of Santa rallies around the corner. We don't know. We don't know, but maybe. And then the last few things this morning, BlockFi. This was reported last night already. But BlockFi is filing a motion to allow wallet users, people that were just storing their crypto, not for anything else, to withdraw. So hopefully this gets approved so that some people will be able to take some of their crypto out, right? Hopefully this does get approved. It's very different than the other lending companies, which basically have, up until this point, didn't allow any withdrawals, and they're in bankruptcy hearing. Voyager has been bought out by Binance.us, so we'll see when we can get our money out of Voyager. But Celsius, still unknown. BlockFi, unknown at this point, but maybe they'll be rescued too. And Genesis and Gemini Earn, right? Unknown at this point too. Let's see. Coinbase, Brian Armstrong is saying that centralized actors should be regulated, but don't stop. But stop there. And leave DeFi alone. That's what he says. Well, but you know, that's wishful thinking. The regulators, if they're going to attack centralized actors, they're going to attack everyone, unfortunately. And FTX has made things worse, right? And they're going to be looking at everything. So that's kind of wishful thinking. But Brian Armstrong was plugging his stablecoin hard, which is USDC. Coinbase and Circle combined and created USDC, but he's trying to make sure that that comes out on top and maybe overthrow Tether in the near future. And then lastly, there's a rift between Ripple CTO and Vitalik. David Schwartz, not a fan of Vitalik saying that that XRP is centralized. So David Schwartz is very angry that Vitalik either doesn't understand or pretends to not understand that Ripple and XRP are two different things. Okay? Now, Vitalik doesn't like Ripple or XRP because, first of all, he says XRP is very centralized. And second of all, Brad Garlinghouse in the past have attacked Ethereum and Bitcoin, saying that both are China controlled, so you can't trust them and you got to trust XRP instead. Well, that is far from the truth. And that is why Vitalik is so angry at Ripple. And the reason why he says XRP is centralized because Ripple still owns more than more than 50% of the overall supply. So if you have one company that owns more than 50% of the supply of the tokens, then that doesn't make it very decentralized, does it? So that's Vitalik's argument, but David, he doesn't have a rebuttal for that. All right, that is pretty much it for this morning. Let's do a quick Q&A, and then I'm going to have to let you guys go. Hey, futures are turning green. So people are taking this Bank of Japan situation positively. Wells Fargo agrees to $3.7 billion settlement over consumer abuses. You know, you see, if that was like a single person, right? Like if that was anyone, they would go to jail. But if it's like Wells Fargo, they got slapped with a fine. See, that's the unfairness of how, you know, the banks are treated versus everyone else. It's way over 50%. It's not 49%. It's way over 50%. All right, let me see here. Let me scroll up. Let's see. Enigma Lord, happy holidays. I need your positivity this year. You're the best. You're a fan. Thank you. Thank you for that, and I appreciate it. My crypto schedule just got screwed. Hey, I'm just a little bit early, just slightly, only about an hour early. Just because I missed you guys so much. Dogecoin will go down if Elon leaves Twitter. You know, I think that's fair to say. But now there's rumors that Elon only posted that post or poll about him stepping down. There's rumors that he did that because he just wanted to see how bots were. Like whether or not there would be a lot of bots that would be voting or whatever. That's the latest thing. So we'll see if that's true or not. Ripple holds less than 50%. Remember, they sell to banks and institutions. They haven't sold to retail since 2000. We hold about 50%. Puppy love, I'm going to agree to disagree. The latest number that I saw was over 50%. Now, it may be under 50%, okay? But even if it's at 49% or 48% or 45%, that's still close to half and an enormous amount, okay? So you can't discount that either. Yeah, I don't really like that protocol founder attacking each other. It makes the space worse. Well, unfortunately, that's what Brad Garlinghouse did. I could get it. Brad has some... I've seen him make some valid arguments or valid points, but there's been times where he's desperate and he just makes crazy accusations, and it's not a good look. I mean, why would you be attacking? Okay, I get you. Maybe you want to attack Ethereum because you think they're your competitor, but he was attacking Bitcoin left and right too. So I could see how there's a lot of people they don't like Ripple because of things that he has said. That picture makes Vitalik look like he's 16 years old. I don't know where that found that headshot. Andrew, are you from Japan? If so, you tell me how people in Japan are reacting to this. Because from what I saw, there's a lot of shock in a negative way that this could be crippling Japan's economy going forward. Self-custody is the way to go. No to centralization. Eventually, hopefully, the entire space moves in that direction. But there are a lot of people that think it's too difficult to self-custody and they don't want to deal with it, or too cumbersome. You know, there's always something. Honda Car Guy says, XRP is one of my largest bags and will prevail. Those who deny the reality will soon see. See what? See my educational video. I think today is a good day to show it. Because people don't quite understand. And, you know, the educational video explains it all very carefully, in very precise and detailed manner. Looking at the overall market cap, it's up slightly today, so that's good. You got Ethereum up decently, 2% today. XRP up 0.81, Matic up 0.83, Litecoin up 2% today. You have Toncoin going down 13%. There was no reason why it should have been going up that much in the first place. And OKB up. Yeah, not a whole lot of green today. Do you think things will get worse before they get any better? I don't think so. I think 2023, the first half of 2023, we'll see stability, maybe just sideways movement. I don't see us having any other major collapses or anything like that, or Bitcoin and markets really crashing. With the Fed starting to taper out rate hikes, I see us kind of stabilizing. And then second half of 2023 is when things get better. That's the way I see it. Now, a lot of people think that 2023 will lead to a deep, deep recession and we're going to see everything drop. That's a possibility, but the way the data is being presented right now, that's not what it looks like. Some of the things that Powell said is accurate. Labor force in the U.S. is very, very strong, very tight. You don't see a lot of companies lay off people other than tech companies, so that's really good. Even though economic data has showed things slowing down, right? Like consumer confidence and stuff like that, but retail spending is still pretty high. People are still traveling. That means that people are doing okay. That's why Powell said that he actually wants to see more slowness before ending the rate hikes, but because inflation numbers are starting to taper out and come down, he's also doing the same thing. So I just don't see how the beginning of 2023 or first half is going to get worse. I think it's going to get better. That's kind of how I see it. Unless in crypto, we got another major collapse, okay? The two that everyone's worried about is Binance and Tether, and I don't think either one is going away. So what's wrong with Jim Cramer? I don't know what's wrong with Jim Cramer. I was thinking the other day, once Jim Cramer retires and goes off air, there's no one else like him, right? No one else that's anywhere close to his personality. So yeah, I was just thinking there's no one else that could replace him. I know of a friend of a friend of a friend whose spouse was self-custody and died. Wife cannot find his crypto. Sees it's accurate to say self-custody has risk. There definitely is risk. Most people don't have a good way to pass it on. That's the thing. They think they live forever, right? And they didn't teach their spouse how to access it. So I think that's a valid concern. And there's probably been more people that lost crypto through that than losing it on centralized exchanges. So I think that's valid, but that doesn't mean that we can't fix that, right? Those of you guys that are holding Bitcoin on a ledger or something like that, make sure you appropriately puts down information so that your spouse or whoever can access it if you happen to disappear off the face of the earth. What is Davis Swartz's point? He was pointing out that Vitalik is an idiot, not knowing the difference between Ripple and XRP, because Vitalik in the video said that XRP is centralized, and XRP, other stuff about XRP. Basically, Vitalik is treating XRP and Ripple as one, and David is saying no, they're two. But you know. And Vitalik is mad at Ripple because Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse has called Ethereum a project controlled by China. And that, of course, pissed him off. Roger says, I'm going to refuse to die. That's a good refusal. That's a good refusal. All right, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. Overall, Bitcoin's up slightly, 2%. That's good. U.S. market still looking like it wants to open red. DXY came down slightly today, but the big news, the big global news is, of course, Bank of Japan raising their rates slightly, just slightly. Okay, very, very slightly. But this changes the new direction for Japan. This easing that they've been doing for like 6 years, it shows that that's coming to an end. So people are quite fearful about this. And we'll see what this does. But overall, guys, a lot of good stuff still happening with Bitcoin and crypto. So you need to stay strong, stay focused, and tune in tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, guys, have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.